Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you. Today is Saturday, the 2nd? Yep, the 2nd of March. And I've been out puttering around in the shop this morning, and I'll put up some of the activities from that activity this morning. And I think you find it interesting if you're into doing any kind of woodworking, stenciling, crafting, that kind of stuff. I've got a couple of tips that I wanted to share with you on that. And that'll come up later in this particular video. But what I'd like to focus today's theme on is a question that Dan Bongino asks from time to time on his podcast and on his radio show. And the bottom line is it bad enough yet? And I want to get into a few of the things where I would say it's almost bad enough. With working with stencils, it's pretty important to get good quality stencils where you can get them. Hobby shops like Hobby Lobby, Michael's Crafts, those kinds of places are usually a good place to get them. But if you're looking for stuff that's really specific, like American flags, We the People kind of stuff, the Betsy Ross style flag emblems and things like that, you're going to have to probably order them from Amazon. They're not really awful expensive, $5-6, and you can get a little package of 6 or 8 individual stencils that you can use at your discretion. But once, as you apply the stencil and you get things lined up the way you really want it to look, then you've got to be able to secure that stencil to whatever you're trying to stencil on. And in our case, it was this stuff here. And these are just leftover pieces from one of the flag projects that I've been working on. And what I plan on doing with this is putting these two pieces together on a chain. Oh, let me back up. There we go. On a chain in here, so that you've got one above the other that kind of looks like that. But the trick about stenciling, and if you ever want to reuse those stencils, is you got to keep them clean. So I use to attach the stencil to the surface of the medium that you're going to be using, and in my case it's a wooden plaque that I charred a little bit with a butane tank, and it seemed to work pretty good. But what I'm using is Gorilla spray adhesive, heavy duty. Picked it up at the local Lowe's home improvement store. You can probably find it at Home Depot or other places like that. Relatively sort of inexpensive, multiple uses for it. But once you get things all lined up, then you've got to get it stenciled and get your paint on there. I use acrylic paint and an artist paintbrush, and that seems to work just dandy for me, dabbing it as we go. I'll overlay some videos along in here when my editor-in-chief, which is me, looks at all this footage and puts things together. So once you get all the acrylic paint applied to the stencil on the medium, then you got to get that stencil off of there so that it doesn't stick permanently. These things will, I would say, 15-20 minutes would be maximum that you'd want to leave that attached, or it's really going to start attaching. So peel it off, and I have some video of that. So peel it off and immediately apply this stuff. Goo Gone is just absolutely incredible for removing the adhesive overspray that you get, the little tackiness on the back of the stencils, and on the surface of the wood itself that you're working with. It does take it right off. I would suggest you let it dry as much as you can for as much time as you've got, but Goo Gone works great. And the other tip that I've got for removing the paint from the stencils is a product called Goof Off. And that works like a charm to get that off of there, get that extra paint and stuff off of there. So what you're going to end up with is a clean stencil that looks like this. What I'm going to do with the stencils right now is take them up to the kitchen sink, let them soak in warm water with a little bit of Dawn dish detergent in there, and let that kind of work its magic, and clean it off, and you can reuse them. The context of that question, is it bad enough yet, is really a driver for, are we ready to accept change? And are we ready to really accept change and go after it and fight for it? Things that have been going on over the last 3+ years have not been going very well for this country. Our current administration has been doing everything in its power to create an open border situation, to make friends with our enemies, to encourage those enemies to dilute our young people's minds with social media things that are based in communist China philosophy, the drug trade, and if you want to read a good book, I'll get into that in just a second. The is it bad enough yet question? We have to be really, really close. I think what we're seeing right now is because Trump seems to be way ahead in all these polls, and all the swing states and all the red states and even a few blue states here and there. And I just saw a poll the other day that Steve Garvey is a couple points ahead of Adam Schiff running for senator in California. That's really encouraging. So maybe the time has come when it is getting bad enough. A couple of examples from the news this week. Catherine Herridge. You may or may not know Catherine Herridge, but she's been around for a long, long time, spent quite a long time, I think, on CNN, and then moved to Fox and was on Fox News for quite a while. And after that, she went to CBS and just recently lost her job. Now, I don't know what the circumstances were about her losing her job, but she is an independent journalist right now. And she's been one of the very best investigative journalists around. She doesn't pull any punches. She stands up for what she believes in. She does the right kind of investigation. She does the right kind of reporting, and she is a journalist. One of those journalists that the First Amendment is designed to protect. And here's the news. Judge finds that former Fox News journalist Catherine Herridge in contempt for refusal to give up her source. Well, she's not supposed to reveal sources. That's how you get to be a good journalist. But when the judge throws the First Amendment out the back window and says, oh no, I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me who your source is, then something is wrong and something needs to change. The other journalist that's in the news right now is an independent journalist named Steve Baker, who now I think is attached to Blaze News, the Glenn Beck organization, and he was required to be arrested, according to the DOJ, for his investigative journalism activities on January 6th. They've charged him with, I think, 4 misdemeanor charges, and they requested that he appear at the arraignment, I guess, wearing t-shirts, shorts, and flip-flops to make it easier for the FBI guys to put him in leg irons and switch him into a orange jumpsuit. He didn't do that. He wore a suit like a man should, and they handcuffed him behind his back and led him into the courtroom, and apparently he is under arrest right now. Don't know exactly what the next steps are for this one, but the fact that and Glenn Beck on his show showed a number of videos that Steve Baker is shown to be sitting in the Capitol building while he's doing his investigative journalism. He's taking videos, he's taking notes on his phone, he's writing things down, and he did not seem to be, in any of the videos that I looked at, did not seem to be participating in any kind of riot activity. He certainly just kind of stood in a corner and took notes and was doing this and put his phone up from time to time. Is it bad enough yet? When they start arresting investigative journalists and they try to hold them in contempt of court and they put them in handcuffs, they have thrown the First Amendment right out of the back door. And it's bad enough, I think, right now, as far as that goes. And did you hear that the national debt increases by $1 trillion every 100 days? That's $3+ trillion a year, and it's only getting worse. The debt clock shows well over $34 trillion that we're carrying in debt, and that each one of us, I think one of the statistics is that we each owe towards that debt $100,000. That's an awful lot of money. So, is it bad enough yet? I think we're darn close, and I think that's the reason that Donald Trump is leading in the polls. I think that's the reason that Steve Garvey is leading in his poll against Adam Schiff. I think it's the reason that the House of Representatives is going full bore right now, but not fast enough for me, going full bore against Hunter Biden and the whole Biden syndicate and what's going on there. They've impeached Mayorkas. They should impeach Joe Biden right away, and if they can't get that done, then I don't really have much more room for tolerance with the Republican Party. What can we do about it? Well, I'll tell you what, we've got an election coming up and in November, and I want to make sure that you've investigated all your possibilities. Take a look at your ballot, do the research you need to do up front, find out who these candidates are, go to the rallies, go to the speeches, listen to what they've got to say, know their platforms before you make a decision. on who you're going to vote for this November. Make sure you understand exactly what they're standing for. And if they want to turn your city into a sanctuary city, if they want to have district attorneys that are hired by George Soros and funded by George Soros, that just let the criminals go. If you're happy with an open border situation with fentanyl pouring across our border, I would really urge you to do your due diligence and your responsibility as a citizen and get out and vote this November. Vote in your primaries. We are here in North Carolina. We're part of Super Tuesday, so that means next Tuesday I'll be at the polling station, which happens to be at my local church, and we'll be casting our ballots, our primary votes for the candidates here on a local and state level, along with the party nominee for president. So make sure you do your homework, get out there and vote. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always. And I'll see you all on the next video. And as a footnote, and I mentioned this earlier in the video, if you're concerned about the fentanyl trafficking, the stuff that's going on with the Chinese Communist Party here in this country, and you're concerned at all about the money that seems to be influencing certain decisions in our nation's capital, I urge you to read this book. It's amazing.